Mount Etna is sliding into the sea, and scientists finally measured how fast. Not with a satellite, but with 5 instruments resting on the seafloor off Sicily. Most coverage of Etna leads with lava and canceled flights. The measurement points somewhere else entirely, and what it found overturned the assumption volcanologists had worked from for decades. In August 2026, the mountain began demonstrating that mechanism in public. It began on a Thursday. The eruption started on the morning of the 6th of August 2026 at the Voragine, one of Etna's summit craters, sitting near 3,000 meters above sea level. Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology reported that volcanic tremor climbed sharply from around 9 in the evening, with its source located beneath the Voragine at roughly 2,900 to 3,000 meters. By 1 in the morning, the crater was running a sustained lava fountain. That part was ordinary. Etna does this most years, and Sicilians barely change their plans for it. What followed was not ordinary at all, because the mountain did not keep the eruption at the summit. Then came the vents. At 9:30 on the morning of the 7th, a new eruptive vent opened in the Valle del Bove at about 2,750 meters. On the 8th, another opened at roughly 2,550 meters near the extinct crater of Monte Rittman. An Italian reporting that afternoon described a further fracture near 2,500. 3 new mouths in 3 days, each one lower on the eastern flank than the one before it. Meanwhile, the tremor source had not moved. It stayed at the summit, 3,000 meters up, while the eruption walked downhill without it. As the vents descended, field personnel from the Institute reported something that does not belong in a routine Etna bulletin. Between Monte Simone and Monte Rittman, on the floor of the Valle del Bove, they observed a pyroclastic flow. Lava moves at walking pace and can be outrun. A pyroclastic flow is a ground-hugging current of hot gas and shattered rock that travels at the speed of a car and kills whatever it reaches. Etna produces lava fountains and ash columns as routine business. It does not routinely produce this, and the reason it appeared had almost nothing to do with how violent the eruption had become. The explanation was buried under the ash. Etna is high enough to hold snow deep into the summer, and its snowfields do not melt on schedule because every eruption blankets them in tephra. Ash is an excellent insulator, and a snowfield under a few centimeters of it can survive months it has no business surviving. The result is that the floor and walls of the Valle del Bove hold pockets of ice hidden beneath what looks like nothing more than black gravel in August. Guides who work the mountain describe exactly that ground, and lava fronts were now crossing it at around 1,000 degrees Celsius. What happens next is not gradual. Water in contact with lava at that temperature flashes to steam almost instantaneously, and steam occupies well over 1,000 times the volume of the water it came from. That expansion goes outward and upward through the front of the flow, blasting it apart and throwing fragmented rock, ash, and superheated steam across the surrounding ground. Volcanologists call it a phreatic explosion. The uncomfortable property of that mechanism is that it arrives without notice. No seismometer, no tilt meter, and no gas sensor can tell anyone where the buried ice is. The only protection available is distance. Etna had already proved that with casualties. On the 16th of March, 2017, lava came into contact with thick snow high on the southeastern side of the volcano, and the resulting explosion threw hot rock and boiling steam across a group of about 35 people who had come to watch an eruption that had looked entirely manageable from where they stood. 10 were injured, and several were taken to hospital. Among them were tourists, an Etna guide, a volcanologist from the Institute, and a BBC crew whose science correspondent afterwards described running down a mountain pelted by rocks. A volcanologist present reportedly called it the most dangerous moment of a 30-year career. That was the small version of the problem. The large version is the ground it happened on, and the Valle del Bove is not a valley in the sense a river makes one. It is a horseshoe-shaped depression, roughly 5 kilometers by 10, with walls standing up to about 1,000 meters, cut into the eastern side of the mountain by a series of large-scale collapses. Researchers date the sequence that produced the Cianconi deposits at the valley's mouth to somewhere between roughly 10,000 and 2,000 years ago. Italian volcanologists call the valley Etna's safety valve. What the safety valve delivers lava into is the hole left by the last time this flank gave way. That last failure did not stay in Sicily. Reconstructions by researchers at the Italian Institute, published in 2006 and 2007, modeled a debris avalanche from Etna's eastern flank entering the Ionian Sea around 8,000 years ago, reportedly carrying on the order of 25 cubic kilometers of rock and sediment into the water at more than 300 kilometers per hour. The simulations produced waves reported at up to around 40 meters, crossing the eastern Mediterranean within hours and destabilizing soft sediment across the Ionian seafloor. The team then looked for the wave on land, and they found it in an unexpected place. Atlet Yam sits on the seafloor off the Israeli coast, 8 to 12 meters down, and 8,000 years ago, it was a Neolithic fishing village. Excavations found evidence of a sudden abandonment in which tens of inhabitants died. A well inside the village filled with marine sediment and debris, and a pile of fish that had been gutted, sorted, and then left where it lay. The researchers' conclusion was that Atlet Yam was destroyed by a tsunami generated by Etna's flank collapse, more than 2,000 kilometers away. Nobody in that village had any idea the mountain existed. That is the reach of the mechanism, and it raises the only question that matters now. For most of the modern era, the answer was reassuring, and it rested on an assumption. Etna's eastern flank has been known to creep seaward since the 90s, at a typical 2 to 3 centimeters a year, and the prevailing understanding was that pressure from the magmatic system was driving it. That mattered enormously, because if magma pushes the flank, then the flank is visible to the instruments already watching the magma. Etna carries dozens of continuous satellite navigation stations and hundreds of survey benchmarks. A volcano this heavily wired would see a collapse coming. The problem was that nobody had ever tested the assumption where it could actually be tested. The reason was simple. Satellite measurements stop at the water's surface, and Etna's unstable flank does not. The boundary between the sliding sector and the stable slope continues offshore, out under the Ionian Sea, and whatever the flank was doing out there had never been measured at all. So in April 2016, a team led by Morelia Urlaub at the Guiomar Helmholtz Center for Ocean Research in Kiel, working with the Italian Institute on a project called Magamet, went to place instruments where the fault runs underwater. It was, by their own description, the first time marine geodesy had been used on a volcano. They installed 5 acoustic transponders across the fault line, 3 on the sliding sector, 2 on the presumably stable side. Each unit sent an acoustic pulse every 90 minutes. Because the speed of sound in seawater is known, the travel time between transponders gave the distance between them, and pressure sensors tracked vertical movement. The reported precision was millimetric. The array stayed on the seafloor until July 2017, quietly measuring a part of Europe's most studied volcano that no instrument had ever touched. Then, in May 2017, it recorded something the land network had no way of resolving on its own. Over a single 8-day episode, the transponders logged more than 4 centimeters of slip along the offshore continuation of the fault, while displacement measured on land over the same period peaked at about 4 centimeters near the coast. Against a background rate of 2 to 3 centimeters a year, the flank had moved roughly a year's worth of distance in just over a week, and it had done so out at sea. The team had captured what is described as the first subsea record of a slow slip event on a volcano's flank, but the number was not the finding. The pattern was: deformation increased with distance from the magma system. That is precisely backwards from what rising magma pushing a flank outward would produce, where movement should be largest nearest the source and fade away from it. The conclusion, published in Science Advances in October 2018, was that the bulk of Etna's continuous deformation must be driven by gravity, with magma dynamics acting as an additional destabilizing factor rather than the engine. Urlaub's own summary was blunt. The volcano is heavy, gravity pulls it down, and there is nothing seaward to stop it, which changes what the monitoring network can and cannot promise. Because a gravitational slide rooted below sea level produces no magmatic precursor. There is no tremor signal for weight, no tilt reading, no gas anomaly, no inflation curve, announces that a slope has finally exceeded what friction beneath it can hold. The paper's own framing of the consequence was that deformation crossing the shoreline implies a greater hazard of flank collapse than had previously been assumed, precisely because gravitational sliding rooted well below the surface can potentially lead to catastrophic collapse. Etna's early warning system watches the magma with extraordinary care. The mechanism most capable of killing people 2,000 kilometers away is not the magma. Then consider what is actually moving. Estimates of the mobile eastern sector run to well over 1,000 cubic kilometers of volcano and basement, sliding on a detachment surface placed several kilometers below sea level. Along its northern boundary, the Pernicana fault system creeps at average rates reported around 2 to 3 centimeters a year, cracking roads, walls, and property lines in the villages that sit on it. And a survey of satellite and radar data covering January 2015 to March 2021 described the seaward motion of the eastern flank as superfast, noting that fast dike intrusion accelerated the sliding flank in a way that could potentially evolve into sudden collapses, fault creep, and seismic release. That last sentence is the one that connects back to August, because a vent opening at 2,550 meters inside the Valle del Bove is a dike intrusion into the sliding block, 3 of them in 3 days on the exact slope that research is about, at a moment when the summit instruments were easing rather than escalating. And this was not the flank's first move of the year. An Institute drone survey on the 21st of June 2026 found that a fracture system which had formed on the eastern flank between August 2025 and January 2026 had propagated further northeast and southeast. The flank has been opening for a year. If this channel is useful, subscribing keeps it in reach. By the 10th of August, 2 vents were feeding lava fields whose most advanced fronts reached near 1,500 meters, at the base of the northern wall of the Valle del Bove. Catania's airport suspended arrivals repeatedly across the following week. The aviation color code moved between orange and red, and the Toulouse Advisory Center tracked ash to around 4.5 kilometers, drifting south. By the 13th, the eruption was in its 7th day, a duration Italian experts described as unmatched since the 1970s. The director of the Etna Observatory was clear that the flows threatened no inhabited area. Every word of that is accurate, and it is also not the part that unsettles the specialists. What unsettles them is the combination, and it deserves stating plainly, because the honest version is less dramatic than the headlines and more disquieting than the reassurance. No Italian agency has issued any collapse-related warning. No coastal evacuation has been discussed. The published science describes a hazard operating over centuries to millennia, and the measured movement remains centimeters per year. This is not a forecast. What the current episode adds is narrower. Vents marching down the one slope that is already creeping seaward under its own weight, pushing lava across ground that hides ice, on a mountain where roughly 1 million people live within about 30 kilometers. And that is where the 2 mechanisms turn out to be the same mechanism at 2 different scales. A lava front meets buried ice and detonates with no precursor at all, injuring people standing at a distance that was perfectly sensible for the eruption they thought they were watching. A slope loaded by gravity for 8,000 years lets go with no magmatic signal, and a village 2,000 kilometers away loses its fishermen before anyone there knows a mountain has moved. Etna is among the most instrumented volcanoes on the planet. Both of the things it has actually used to kill happen where the instruments are not looking. The next bulletin will report the elevation of any new vent. That number is the one worth watching. Subscribe for more unresolved mysteries from the edges of the map.